Good morning and welcome everyone to the daily news analysis for 4th of May 2021 with me Jatin Verma. So guys, in today's daily news analysis, first of all we are going to cover an important editorial that has appeared in the Indian Express, which talks about that India should explore whether natural gas could be a contender towards the green energy initiatives that our country is talking about. Policy wonks, diplomats, and green energy summits that are happening after Paris climate deal, they are all talking about solar energy or exploring the new sources of energy. Why shouldn't we be exploring the natural gas as a major, you can say the major contributor to the energy mix of India? Let's first move through the news articles that have appeared in the first page of the Hindu newspaper. Mamta swearing in tomorrow. So, Mamta Banerjee all set to take on in her another term for West Bengal Chief Minister. Local issues crucial to voters across states. Local issues were crucial. It has been found by the survey. It has been found by the survey Lok Niti CSDS survey conducted by this Lok Niti CSDS group. It found that local issues crucial to the voters across states. So basically, until now, we were thinking that voter identifies the political parties through their symbols. Okay, illiteracy and lack of awareness about how the polity functions. Until recently, the voters were not able to decipher whether the state legislative assembly state elections are for the issues that are close to the ground like agriculture, etc. Okay, whereas people were not even aware about whether the union parliament is there to solve the broader national issues, or they used to get confused between the MLAs and MPs. In simple words, now that voter has been able to clearly discern that MLAs are responsible or state government is responsible for local issues. This trend was quite visible in the Odisha elections also. Previously, in the last few months or last 1 year, we have seen that they chose the Odisha local party, the state regional party in the Odisha, Biju Janata Dal, for state legislative assembly or forming the state government, whereas the vote share of BJP went up in the Odisha member of parliament elections, Lok Sabha elections. Okay, so this trend is good for the voters. Same applies in Delhi also. Aam Aadmi Party was able to back the seats in Delhi Legislative Assembly. When it comes to the national government or union parliament, voters are clearly now able to discern as to which party to vote for at the national level and which party should be voted for at the state level. So this is basically like more, and it seems that more and more people are preparing for UPSC and state PCS exams. Only that's why they are able to discern. Otherwise, we hardly understand our polity, and it is all known that leaders, whosoever leader you talk about, they have taken the voters for granted. They have tried to mix the state level issues with the national issues just to win votes. Now, cannot stop reports on court observations. Supreme Court turns down ECI plea for media gag. So Supreme Court said that Election Commission was asking the Supreme Court for exercising a gag on media, a kind of censure notice to media to not to telecast the Supreme Court proceedings. Media cannot be stopped from reporting oral remarks made by the judges during a court hearing. The honest and full reportage of these comments give the public an insight into whether judges are genuinely applying their minds to resolve the crisis or not. So ECI had complained to Supreme Court about certain oral comments made by the division bench of Madras High Court. Election Commission the credibility of Election Commission is now at stake. You have seen that earlier CBI was labelled as the Tota of the government. CBI was labelled as caged parrot. Now, same way, Election Commission is being maligned by the courts, High Court of Madras, and in media also. That is why ECI is asking the Supreme Court to ask media groups, TV news media and print media like the Hindu newspaper, to stop publishing everything that happens in the court. So this is like ECI is becoming a touch me not baby, like the way the CBI was earlier. in UPA era. Now, coming to the other news articles, factory output growth decelerates purchasing managers index. I have explained in my previous videos, these DNA sessions, what is the meaning of purchasing managers index. PMI basically tells you as to whether the raw material buyers in a factory, purchasing manager in a factory is going to purchase the raw material or not. If he is not going to purchase the raw material, that means in the coming months factory output growth is not going to be there. Actual production is not going to happen in the factories because raw material manager, or in other words we may call him as purchasing manager, is not opening his wallet to purchase new raw material. Done. So this is there. OPEC share slid as India's oil imports shrank 11.8%. OPEC का जो शेयर है overall, OPEC share of India's oil imports. We are an oil import dependent country. India is an import dependent country largely because of oil imports. Because we do not have sufficient oil in our country to meet our domestic requirements, factory requirements or transport requirements. So as the India cuts the share of oil imports because of COVID-19, OPEC share is also sliding in India's oil basket. India imports oil from OPEC as well as Iran, Russia and various other sources. Okay, so total crude imports by the world's third biggest oil importer. India is world's third biggest oil importer because the crude oil imports from the world's third largest oil importer fell to 3.97 million barrels per day in financial year 2021, which closed on 31st March 2021, down 11.8% from a year earlier. India purchased more US and Canadian oil at the expense of that from Africa and West Asia, reducing the purchases from the members of OPEC. So you have to answer in the comment section which all countries are there in the OPEC. OPEC में कौन सी countries आती हैं, ये question आपको आंसर करना है. And then what is there in the OPEC plus? Which all countries are there in the OPEC plus? And those of you who are regular in answering, I would want you to easily answer this question. Asian premium क्या है? What is the meaning of Asian premium? Okay, so these are prelims oriented questions that I will be asking parallelly as we proceed along the news articles. Sugar output rises by 41 lakh tons. Another question, what is India's contribution? What is India's rank in terms of sugar production? Nobody is going to ask you, but still you should be aware of these things. 8 to 10 lakh exports likely in May. Sugar output rises by 41 lakh tons. So sugar mills have produced 299 lakh tons of sugar between October 1, 2020 and April 30, 2021. This is 41 lakh tons higher than 258 lakh tons produced during the same period last year. Okay, compared with 112 sugar mills crushing sugarcane as of April 30 last year, 106 mills were involved as on April 30 this year. पिछले साल के मुकाबले जो शुगर मिल्स हैं 112 थी पिछले साल, इस साल 106 शुगर मिल्स प्रोडक्शन कर रही थी. नाउ आई आस्क यू अ क्वेश्चन हियर, विच वाज द कमेटी which suggested the latest fair and remunerative pricing formula? What is the meaning of levy sugar? Those of you who are thorough with Indian economy, you should be knowing this. What is the meaning of levy sugar? Okay, levy sugar का मतलब क्या होता है? And which is the state which contributes the maximum to India's sugar bowl? कौन सी ऐसी स्टेट है जिसमें सबसे ज़्यादा शुगर का उत्पादन होता है, राइट? सो देन UPSC had asked a question in the mains 2014. UPSC mains question was, why is sugar industry shifting to south? Sugar industry South India में क्यों shift हो रही है? Then I ask another question, what are the climate conditions required for sugar to grow? This is the analysis of the newspaper. If I were to say, why are we studying these points? Because if any simple news clipping appears in the newspaper, you should be going behind everything. This is what we call as 360-degree analysis, which I do in my current affairs course. So this is what you have to study here. OPEC, OPEC plus and everything you are going to answer. Today I'm going to ask a lot of questions, so please spare today 1 hour for answering all these questions. Export orders healthy, demands rising. Federation of Indian Export Organizations, इंडिया की जो एक्सपोर्ट करने वाली कंपनीज हैं उनकी जो फेडरेशन है, द फेडरेशन ऑफ ऑल दोज एक्सपोर्टर्स विच एक्सपोर्ट फ्रॉम इंडिया सेज दैट एक्सपोर्ट ऑर्डर्स आर हेल्दी बिकॉज डोमेस्टिकली वी आर अ वेरी लार्ज market. Even though because of the domestic crisis in terms of COVID-19, domestic orders may not be as high, but the fact that Indian economy is well integrated with the world economy, exports are sufficient for the exporters, for the factories, for manufacturing units to sail through smoothly out of this time, out of this particular phase when we are having rough weather, when we are facing a crisis in terms of COVID-19. Done. So this is there. This is the advantage that people criticize why India is not a closed economy. Why are we rendering ourselves vulnerable to globalization? Whenever some crisis happens in domestic arena, whenever some domestic recession is there or any kind of pandemic like COVID-19's impact is there, exports help the big companies, the country, the economy in general to sail through the domestic turbulent waters or times like these. Then coming here to the other news articles, West Bengal Chief Minister's Mamta swearing in ceremony tomorrow. This is not that important. Local issues crucial to voters. I have already explained this. So let's come to the Indian Express article. No GST on imports of vaccine, medical oxygen. No GST at all. Sisodia asks Centre to waive GST on oxygen concentrators for 6 months. So, Delhi Deputy Chief Minister asking the centre to waive GST on oxygen concentrators. Factory output growth decelerates. We have already covered this. OPEC share, this has also been covered. Now coming to editorials, a One Health approach that targets peoples and animals. This I did not find that good, so I'm skipping on this article. Underreporting, this is again a passing issue. Even though this issue is of a huge concern that underreporting of cases is happening, COVID-19 actual numbers are not being reported, but for an administrator, for a UPSC aspirant, this is not that important. Now, yesterday we saw that April GST collections were at a record high, so that is why this has come in as an editorial. Economic activity may not yet be as badly affected amidst pandemic's second wave. So this editorial we are going to cover at last in the daily news analysis today. Then coming here, guys, I would want to tell you that we have started some new initiatives on JV's IAS application. Every day at 9 a.m. you will get daily morning summary, daily news articles on JV's IAS application. Then you will also see daily midday meal for yourself. This is daily midday summary, daily midday updates, in which we are going to provide the analysis of all the articles which are relevant for UPSC from Live Mint newspaper, from PIB, and from Hindu, of course, Indian Express. All these important sources are referred for preparing this summary, and even Lok Sabha TV, etc. We are going to include the salient important points, unique points that are appearing in all these sources, and are going to come up with the summary. And then in the evening you will find at around 9:30 p.m. you will find daily in-depth article summary. So all these things will help you in preparing the current affairs in a holistic manner. You can download the JV's IAS application from Google Play Store, and iOS version is also there. So this will help you keep a tab on current affairs in an effective manner. Yojana, etc. we will be providing. Then coming here, mind maps. You can download the mind maps from Telegram channel or from JV's IAS application or website also. So in today's mind maps we have covered these issues: Global Forest Goals Report, then Network for Greening Financial System, NGFS, then Remdesivir, some articles are there. This is the channel from where you can download the mind maps on a daily basis. Alright, Telegram channel is Jatin Verma's IAS Academy or JV's IAS, you will find. This is our main Telegram channel where we share the soft copy of magazine for free, and then this is the other channel where you can get the PDF of Hindu, Indian Express, and other news articles, other newspapers. Now, coming to the lead article, the lead and editorial analysis by me today, India's road to clean energy goes via natural gas. The writer has mentioned here that rather than focus only on end game of decarbonization, India must first green its fossil fuel energy basket by increasing the share of natural gas. So let's study this. A lot is happening in the world academia about net zero carbon emissions. You all know this. Policy wonks. The writer has written a book along with 25 other editors. So, as per that, climate negotiators, academicians, corporates, and NGOs are currently they are currently centered on the concept of net zero carbon emissions and the appropriate target year for achieving it. Writer is criticizing the community here, supported by economic analysis and moral logic, and drawing on the concept of common but differentiated responsibility. Okay, so everybody is focusing upon this jargon: net zero carbon emissions, decarbonization, common but differentiated responsibility. Their message is, the writer says that their message is rather than focus only on their messages rather than focus only on the end game of decarbonization, India must first green its fossil fuel. Now, this can be done by increasing the share of natural gas. This is a feasible prospect, writer says, because this increase will not generate headwinds that the alternative of shutting down coal mines might. Okay, so parallelly, two things are happening. Coal mines are being shut, and in order to compensate for the source of energy which will replace coal mines, writer is saying that we can have natural gas as the contender. We should replace the coal mines with natural gas. So this is feasible prospect. Replacing coal with natural gas is a feasible prospect because this increase will not create further carbon units or carbon oriented pollution. It will not require industries to invest heavily in retrofitting their systems, and it will allow the government to meet its objective of providing secure and affordable energy to everyone without degrading the environment. You know, we are talking about solar energy, windmills, and geothermal energy. This all requires heavy investment into solar panels, right? Pipes carrying the today what happens is pipes carry the energy, the pipelines are there. So those pipelines which are already existing in terms of oil supply to the industries, to the factories, natural gas could be pumped through the same pipes without much of a retrofitting. ज़्यादा उसमें तामझाम नहीं करना पड़ेगा, right? So this is there. Furthermore, it can be achieved through executive ordinance and without the need for legislative approval. For setting off the coal one and replacing it with something new, you require legislative approval. But for using the same infrastructure, same source of energy, which is natural gas instead of oil, you don't require any legislative approval. Implicit in their message is India stands a better chance of reaching the destination of a predominantly clean energy system if it moves forward incrementally with the help of natural gas. That is, if it makes natural gas the next stop in its energy journey. Writer here is saying that हम क्या कर रहे हैं कि decarbonization drives में हम ये जो destination है, जो journey है, उस पे नहीं focus कर रहे कि हम oil use करेंगे या हम natural gas use करेंगे. End point तो ठीक है कि decarbonization होगी, ठीक है, लेकिन ये एंड पॉइंट को अचीव कैसे किया जाएगा उस पर ज़्यादा फोकस नहीं है. सो इसीलिए राइटर ये कह रहे हैं कि डीकार्बोनाइजेशन की इस डेस्टिनेशन में पहुंचने के लिए आपको जर्नी में जो नोड पॉइंट्स हैं, नोड पॉइंट्स समझते हो, द नोड पॉइंट्स इन द जर्नी, द डिसाइसिव मोमेंट्स यू हैव टू discuss here. You can discuss natural gas as one of the replacements for conventional sources of energy like coal. Now, let us see what else the writer has talked about in the editorial. I'm going to explain this. What is the meaning of upstream activities? What is the meaning of upstream, midstream, and downstream? We are going to talk about this also because this is a very nice piece of writing here. Having explained you what is going to be there in this editorial, let's talk about the broad thrust of this message is fleshed out through specific policy suggestions, cutting across all segments of natural gas value chain from production, domestic and international, to transportation, pipeline to markets. Okay, so broad thrust of this editorial is fleshed out through specific policy suggestions. Writer has made some policy suggestions cutting across all segments of natural gas value chain from production to transportation to markets, current and emergent markets to commercial, that is pricing, taxation, and lastly the regulatory issues. Number one, writer has made 4 key policy suggestions to the policymakers, to Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas in our country. First, the authorities must prioritize natural gas. Basically, writer says that natural gas is neglected one. They must recognize its versatility. It is a competitive fuel. It is abundantly available in and within the Asian markets, Asian or Middle East subcontinent. It has multiple uses and it is the greenest of all the fossil fuels, be it coal, oil, petroleum we are talking about. Okay, natural gas is the greenest of all. Second, the authorities must correct the current disincentivizing policy distortions. Policy distortion means incentivizing oil, petroleum at the cost of natural gas. The pricing of natural gas is, for instance, a potpourri of complexity. There are multiple price formulae for natural gas. One for gas produced from domestic fields by public sector companies like GAIL, and one formula is there for gas produced by private companies. This formula was given by C. Rangarajan, right, in 2013. Then another formula is there for production from deep waters, KG, D6 basin, etc. Or this is like domestic deep water, which falls in India's exclusive economic zone. Deep water offshore under high temperature. Because this extracting this gas is a costly affair, so it has got a different formula. The taxation system is also comparably regressive. It is a cascading structure. The taxating structure is cascading in nature. Cascading means tax on tax. One tax is levied on gas, then there is another tax. Then on these 2 taxes there is the third tax. So that tax rates increase as the gas flows from one zone to another. If the gas is flowing from southern zone or western zone to northern zone, this taxation will increase. Cascading effect, leading to a cascading effect of taxation. This means that customers located at a distance from the source of gas, let's say the gas is extracted from Bombay High in India, and the gas is then through pipelines or through containers, through trucks and all, if it is transported to Punjab or Haryana or Delhi, then customers located at different destinations will have to pay different price because of tax at each state level. The result is dampening of demand for the gas. Also, gas is not under GST like any other petroleum product. Gas is also not under GST. That means gas is being subjected to excise or VAT, which is charged at every state level. If the gas is traveling from Maharashtra to Gujarat, then Gujarat to Haryana, then Gujarat to Rajasthan, then Rajasthan to Haryana, each of these states will be levying its own VAT rate, and this VAT will be charged on the VAT charged by the previous state. If the price of the gas in Bombay High at the Bombay High point was 100 rupees, Maharashtra charged 10 rupees VAT, even though it is higher. Then after Maharashtra it is going to be 110. Gujarat is going to charge tax on 110 ka 10%. That means another 11 rupees would be added. Likewise, this is called cascading effect. Likewise, all these states in this journey of gas from Bombay till Delhi will be charging the tax on tax, leading to increase in the rate of gas at the last point, at the destination point. So this is how we are disincentivizing gas relative to other sources of energy. Now, third thing the writer says, we have studied 2 points here, point number 1 and point number 2, right? Point number 1, point number 2. Then the third thing is the authorities should revamp the structure of the gas industry. The Gas Authority of India Limited is currently engaged in production, transportation and marketing of gas. So this is the diagram we should study here. Upstream activity, exploration, field development, production, operation. Okay, Gas Authority of India Limited, a public sector undertaking, a Maharatna, is involved at all these stages. Okay, so it is exploring the gas, then field development, installation of machinery and everything. This is called upstream activity. When you take the gas with the help of a pipe, this is called upstream. And then when you transport it or when you process it, raw or crude gas is then transported or processed, and then it is stored in the big tankers, what we call as gas hub, natural gas hubs of India. Okay, gas hubs. Then this gas is finally transported, okay, to the to the, let's say, the consumption at the consumption level. So you can see here, offshore activity number 1, upstream activity, oil and gas exploration, production, then it is transported, process and storage, then downstream, distribution, sale, marketing, etc. So these are the 3 levels. Okay, having understood the meaning of the term upstream, midstream and downstream. Upstream is when you are taking the gas through the help of pipeline. Upstream. Okay, then it is midstream when it is transported for further refining or processing. Then it is stored. After storage, it is then fed into a pipeline, and from the pipeline at a transport hub, it is fed into the big containers. These containers carry it to the retail level, marketing level. Okay, now coming here, third point we were studying, Gas Authority of India Limited. The writer says GAIL is currently engaged in production, transportation or marketing of gas. This allows GAIL to leverage its ownership of bulk of the gas pipelines. GAIL is in a dominant position here because it leverages it, basically in order to benefit itself. GAIL leverages its ownership of bulk of the gas pipeline to deny its competitors the access to the market. Like Reliance, if Reliance wants to install or if Reliance wants to use or wants to supply the gas to its customers through its petrol pumps or other ways, SR oil, you must have seen some SR petrol pumps also. If they want to supply natural gas through GAIL is in a dominant position because GAIL has got its own pipeline network spread across India. GAIL feeds the gas into the pipeline, and this gas could be transported at a cheaper cost. If SR wishes to transport the gas, or if Reliance wishes to transport the gas, or if any other company wishes to transport the gas, it has to do so with the help of these big trucks, trailers as we call them. Okay, so this is what increases the cost of transportation for competitors of GAIL. This is the point here. Therefore, the writer says that the policy should call for assured and common access to all the marketeers, all the gas marketeers. But GAIL can bend the policy to its advantage without breaching it with the help of its dominant position in terms of gas pipeline installation. Right. So what are we studying? Basically, the broader topic is what is coming in the way of natural gas being the replacement for fossil fuels which are pollution causing. What are those fossil fuels? Petrol, diesel, petroleum products basically. As India moves from the high carbon sources of energy towards the low carbon sources of energy, writer is saying that natural gas should be given its due place. And in the process, writer is discussing the problems which are coming in the way. What is problem number 1? Problem number 1 is that this is the problem number one that we have studied. Problem number two is also carried, that there is excessive taxation, cascading effect. Problem number three is a major player in gas, that is GAIL India Authority Limited, is not enabling, is creating an impediment in the way of competition in the gas sector. Why competition is necessary in the gas sector? If we want to make the gas a major contender in the India's energy mix, competition will unleash what? Efficiency. You allow the competition to take place, and then the inefficiencies of GAIL, the way it is doing business, will be gone. Most countries have tackled this conflict of interest situation by separating the upstream and downstream interests from transportation. Okay, so basically most of the countries which have excelled in gas exploration or gas consumption, what they have done is they have divided the GAIL like corporations in their companies into three parts, which we call as unbundling. Unbundling basically means as of now GAIL is bundled. All the three entities are within GAIL itself. This is GAIL. It includes the upstream activities, then midstream, then downstream, that is marketing. Okay, transportation via gas pipeline is also within the control of one single company. Remember guys, you must have studied about Coal India Limited's dominant position. Coal India Limited was sitting on all the coal reserves. Today the writer is talking about GAIL's dominant position. So we need to first unbundle the upstream activities of GAIL, and midstream activities, the transportation and processing should be given to other companies. At least the pipelines network of GAIL should be made a national property, and any company which wishes to transport the gas through the pipeline network spread across India by GAIL company should be charged a normal tariff rate. Okay, it should not be exclusively, the pipeline network of GAIL should not exclusively be for GAIL alone. It should be a common property of the nation state India, and whichever company, be it Reliance, be it Adani, or be it any other company like SR, if they wish to transport the gas through this pipeline, they should be charged 3 rupees per cubic meter of gas being transported through the pipeline. Then comes marketing. Writer says since GAIL is having a dominant position here and here, it is the natural contender and the only player in marketing of gas. Is this point clear to everyone? So this is there. GAIL should also be so unbundled. Like in other countries, its business activities should be limited to pipeline construction and transportation. It should not be sitting over the pipeline for transporting only its own gas. सिर्फ अपनी गैस ट्रांसपोर्ट करने के लिए नहीं होना चाहिए गेल का नेटवर्क, राइट? नाउ फोर्थली, and this is one suggestion that falls outside the remit of the executive branch, outside the control of the government branch. The institutional mechanism should be created to enable better coordination between the central and state governments. One reason why India has not yet constructed a national pipeline grid is because the center and states have clashed over the issues. Now the writer here is basically talking about the problem number 4, that what comes in the way of gas being used as a source of energy in a major way. One reason is this: land acquisition is a big problem in India. Pipeline routing. You must have seen all around the state highways that a landmark is there on which it is written GAIL pipeline is going through. Okay, contact on this phone number before digging this line. This is a highway. You must have seen around the trees on Indian roads. This is the land. Okay, this is the route where the pipeline is routed through. So this land acquisition pipeline routing requires the permission from every state government and royalty payments to the state government where the gas reserves are located. All these are big problems which are completely not in the domain of the central government, and which is where the problem comes, that if we want to explore the possibility of gas being used as a major source of energy in India, center state differences Land acquisition, pipeline routing, royalty payments to the state governments have impeded the process or would come as a problem in the process. Center state differences have also delayed the construction of import facilities and creation of gas markets. A way has to be found to take these issues off the political table and brought within the frame of an integrated decision making process. Right, this was the editorial. Now let us jump to some related issues. Midstream, etc., you will be able to find in the PDF. Midstream primarily involves the storage and transport of upstream oil and gas through a network of pipelines. Okay, upstream mainly focuses on exploration of crude oil and natural gas fields, as well as their production and recovery. Upstream sector is also commonly known as exploration and production sector. Downstream is marketing, refining of crude oil, purifying natural gas. In addition, this is where the sales, marketing, product distribution and retail takes place. Done. Now, a projection tells us that natural gas demand and share of total energy in India. 2002 it was 3, right? Natural gas demand was 3% and gas as a percentage of total energy mix in India was 6. Then it is increasing, as we can see, and by 2025 it is projected to be around 10 to 11%. Done. So this is there. Now let's come to the other articles. Manish Sisodia asked the center to waive GST on oxygen concentrators for 6 months. Now, why this GAIL topic or gas topic is important? GS Mains Paper 3, India's energy mix. As I told you that questions are being asked about sugarcane location or about India's energy mix. The question here could be this one: do you think that India should give more weightage to natural gas in its energy mix instead of investing heavily in the new sources of renewable energy? What are the problems in going ahead with this proposal? These are the problems, 4 problems, and suggestions are also there. Okay, so you can write a good answer of around 250 words after having read this article. Now, coming to the other news articles. Center should waive off GST on oxygen concentrators for 6 months. Hardly 5 minutes reading should be given to this. 5 minutes is enough time for this particular article, right? Then OPEC share slid as India's oil imports shrank 11.8%. We will be sharing the news summary on our application. This article will be covered in 5 points. So 5 points, hardly 2-3 minutes or maximum 5 minutes will be given by you. Now, OPEC share slid as India imports. This article we have covered in the beginning. It means that OPEC's share of India's oil imports fell to the lowest in at least 2 decades in the year to the end of March, as overall purchases by Asia's third largest economy fell to a 6-year low. Total crude imports by the world's third biggest oil importer fell to 3.97 million barrels per day, down 11.8% from a year earlier. India bought more US and Canadian oil at the expense of that from Africa and West Asia, reducing purchases from the members of OPEC to about 2.86 million BPD and squeezing the group's share of imports to 72% from about 80% previously. So even as you see that OPEC countries are playing the dirty tactics of charging Asian premium from India and China, OPEC countries are, bullying us. They have been arm twisting us to pay a higher price, even as we are one of their largest customers, biggest customers. So the problem is, after having been the victim of these countries, India started diversifying its oil imports destinations. US and Canadian oil accounted for about 7% and 1.3% respectively of India's crude oil imports, compared to 4.5% and 0.60% a year earlier. So this is the lowest share of OPEC since the financial year 2002, before which crude import data is not available. So this is there. Now coming here, US emerged as the fifth biggest supplier, up 2 places from financial year 20. Oil import contracts recently amid tensions with Saudi Arabia over oil production cuts. Saudi Arabia was telling all the OPEC countries, oil and petroleum exporting countries, to institutionalize oil cuts. If there will be cut in the oil production, this will lead to demand supply mismatch. Demand will be more, supply will be less. If supply is less, naturally the price is going to be higher than what was being paid previously. Tensions with Saudi Arabia. When oil prices started to rise in early 2021, India wanted Saudi Arabia to relax output controls, but the kingdom ignored its calls. This has led to the Indian government pressing for diversification of the supply base. Saudi Arabia and other OPEC producers have been the mainstay suppliers of crude oil for India, but their terms have often been loaded against the buyers. Clear? So this is there. Now Asian premium, I have explained you. You can answer Asian premium. OPEC member countries. Please answer for your own knowledge. What is OPEC plus? What is the meaning of OPEC plus? You have to answer in the comment section today. Now, issues with the contracts with OPEC producers. Indian firms buy 2/3 of their purchases on term or fixed annual contracts so as to ensure consistent supply. These term contracts provide assured supplies of the contracted quantity, but the pricing and other terms favor only the supplier. If you are booking something in advance, that means you are hell bent on purchasing something. This shows India's vulnerability to oil importing countries. The buyer has to indicate at least 6 weeks in advance of their intention to lift quantity out of the annual term contract in any month and has to pay an average official price announced by the producer. So one is spot market, where you can purchase the oil on the spot at a prevailing price. But the problem is these OPEC countries, they have started cutting the production for on the spot market. They are producing only for beforehand contracts being made out in advance, 6 weeks in advance. Options for India. India needs pricing flexibility as well as the certainty of supply even during the times when the production falls due to any reason. Indian refiners can look to reduce the quantity they buy through the term contracts and instead buy more from the spot or current market. So these things are there. India is the world's third largest consumer of oil. India imports 85% of its total oil needs and is often vulnerable to global supply and price shocks. So these things are there. You have to read more about OPEC yourself by downloading the PDF from the Telegram channel JVIAS 10. Okay, so these things are there. Now, Mamta swearing in tomorrow. This is not that important. Can Mamta Banerjee become the chief minister after losing Nandigram? Yes. Okay, this is unique and possibly the first time that a chief minister lost her seat in West Bengal. But the party registered a bigger victory than achieved in the previous assembly elections. So a minister, Article 164 clause 4 says that a minister who for any period of 6 consecutive months is not a member of legislative assembly of the state shall at the expiration of that period cease to be a minister. Article 164 clause 4 gives the flexibility for a person who is not a member of legislative assembly to become the minister. Suppose if Prime Minister Modi, let me give you an example first from the Lok Sabha or from the union ministers. Suppose if Prime Minister Modi likes my knowledge of polity and his own criticism by me, okay, and he thinks that I could be a good policy maker, because you know that BJP is already not having many members left or don't have many of the members. That is why retired bureaucrats are being made ministers, or anyone for that matter who says some good words about the Prime Minister could be made the Raja, right? So suppose if Jatin Verma is liked by Prime Minister but Jatin Verma is not a member of Parliament, neither Rajya Sabha nor Lok Sabha, still Jatin Verma can become a minister for 6 months. Okay, 6 months के लिए I can be the minister. Within these 6 months I have to get elected either to a Lok Sabha or to a Rajya Sabha, right? So this is what happens at the central level. Same goes for legislative assembly level also. Suppose if Mamta Banerjee likes you, okay, so I don't want to be liked by her. Suppose I want to be liked by Prime Minister only and Amit Shah. Suppose if Mamta Banerjee likes you, just likes you as a good UPSC aspirant, the way Mayawati was liked by Keshuram, right? So this is what is going to happen. You will be made a minister for 6 months. Within those 6 months, you have to get elected as member of Legislative Assembly. That's it. Okay. This had happened previously in the case of Amma, that is Jai Lalita. Now this is going to happen in the case of Didi. So next time it could be Behan Mayawati also being made the minister, but now, as of now, her fortune seemed to be very poor. 164 of the constitution provides that there shall be a council of ministers, and 164 clause 4 enables a person being appointed as a minister even though that person is not a member of legislative assembly. Okay, so this has happened in case of Yogi Adityanath's case also, and this has happened in the case of Manohar Parrikar when he was appointed as the chief minister of Goa. This sounds a bit odd that a person who has been rejected by the people for her own constituency, that person could become the chief minister. Okay, she must have done something terribly poor in Nandigram. That is why she could not win. Now she will become the chief minister again. So this is there. Now the Constitution of India sets the principal qualifications one must meet to be eligible for the office of chief minister. These background knowledge, this is important because this is a kind of thing that is happening related to the chief minister barely 2 months before the exam. Okay, so you should be thorough with the conditions for being appointed as a chief minister or a minister in any state, and the related articles also, which you can read from the PDF of the DNA, which will be there on JVIAS 10 Telegram channel. So theoretically, the chief minister holds the office during the pleasure of the president. See guys, while reading the newspaper yourself, you guys would have skipped out on the background and everything. You would have taken it as a political masala or anything, right? Now you would have focused on Apple iPhone in her hand, how many cameras are there. Now we make you use those cameras of your two eyes in a better manner by making you focus on what is relevant, right? होता है ऐसा, सबके साथ होता है. तुम उसके कैमरा देखने लग जाओगे, तुम देखोगे मैडम ने साड़ी तो बहुत सिंपल पहन रखी है लेकिन हाथों में आईफोन. ये चीज़ें हो जाती हैं पढ़ते पढ़ते. इसीलिए वी आर डूइंग दिस background check for you in this section of daily news analysis. You will be able to find everything. Now coming to the other things here, local issues crucial to the voters across states. This is another important thing, another important angle. The good thing is that local issues, the people are now able to discern which government is responsible for which issue. BJP was quite hopeful after having bagged a certain number of seats in the Lok Sabha elections in West Bengal. Okay, so was the case in Odisha also. Odisha's Biju Janata Dal political party was, afraid of losing to BJP to a great extent. But people are now able to understand that state legislative assembly is for local issues and union parliament elections are for national issues. So they are choosing their political parties very, very, very carefully. Same has been witnessed in Odisha also. Same has been witnessed in Kerala also. Earlier, the voter in India was treated as a fool. Okay, now the people have understood that if a political party or a leader has done the good work in West Bengal or in any state, they would choose a different party for the state level and another party for the national level elections. Okay, so this is a good thing. CSDS Lok Niti study analyzes the verdict of assembly polls. Local was of utmost importance in the decision making. Importance in the decision making of voters in assembly elections according to a special post-election survey conducted by Lok Niti CSDS for the Hindu. Each of the surveyed states had specific local variables that swayed, local variables were there that swayed the balance in favor of the local, regional political parties. Clear? The voters were determining their electoral choices for the state and national elections distinctly. One national issue was particularly resonant across the states: Citizenship Amendment Act. This was a national issue. In all four states, opposition to CAA was higher than support for it. Okay. Opposition to Citizenship Amendment Act was higher than the support for it. As you can see that BJP could win only Assam because of Citizenship Amendment Act, but it had to lose in West Bengal because of this Citizenship Amendment Act issue. Now, double engine government. Except in Assam, there was no strong desire in any of the states for a double engine government. Even in West Bengal, more people were strongly opposed to the idea than in favor of it. Compared to 2016, all states reported a decline in their desire for a double engine government, including Assam. The increase in opposition to the idea was greatest in Kerala. Double engine basically means two political parties. Okay, so now you can see here this is more political in nature, but this tells you anti-incumbency. What is the meaning of anti-incumbency? When a political party which has been in power in the previous 5 years, in the last 5 years, it develops a certain incumbency. People want to see something new. This was witnessed in Tamil Nadu. Anti-incumbency basically means when people develop a kind of disinterest for the party to continue, for the party which was voted to power in the previous election, faces some criticism for its inability to handle the issues. Suppose if you are there, you see that your family is being run by your father. You want now you want the mother to take on the charge, because there is some ill will gets generated with the ruler, with the government in power. Pro incumbency, anti incumbency. Anti incumbency is a very big challenge for all the political parties in India and in world. Party in power is most likely to lose the next election. So this is there. Now coming here, regional parties in India. Role of regional parties has been increasing since 1967. Indian politics since independence. This issue is important. Is it good to have a national political party ruling at the state level also? Yes or no. You have to write arguments in favor as well as arguments against. Done. Rise of regional parties in India. You have to read it because these type of questions could be asked this year in mains, as legislative assembly elections are happening and other things are happening. Now coming to the other aspects. So this was all in today's daily news analysis with me, Jatin Verma. You can join this course, integrated GS course, if you are planning to streamline your preparation. If you are one who is totally fresh in this preparation and does not know the ABCD of Indian polity, Indian economy concepts, etc., and you want a one-stop solution to take you through the GS preparation, entire GS preparation, you can join the GS integrated course, foundation course for 1 year, for 2 years, or for 3 years on our website www.jatinverma.org. Earlier I was teaching on Unacademy, but not any longer. I am teaching only on JV's IAS Academy, so as to properly guide my students in a manner that is required of UPSC. Here I can prolong my course or my classes as per my wish. I can add new elements, I can add a few more classes to the course if it is required. So I am providing the best I can on my own platform. Earlier there were some restrictions and other things due to which I was not able to give my best. Here it's like my own world, it's like my own canvas to teach my students at. So we provide the study material also, we provide the live classes also, we take the Zoom live sessions or doubt sessions as well. So this is there. Thank you everyone. Have a good day. Bye bye. Thank you guys.